Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Kline, co-founder and chief operating officer of Bitcoin IRA. We're going to talk about the crypto space and how it can be incorporated into a retirement plan. Chris, it is great to have you on the show. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me, Jill. Pleasure to be here.
All right, and we've seen so many institutional moves. Elon Musk has been an advocate for the crypto community for many years. He recently announced Tesla will accept Dogecoin for some merchandise. We've seen over 15,000 businesses accept crypto as payments, from Amazon, Overstock, Microsoft, all the big names, small to medium-sized companies. Will this trend have longer-term traction?
Yeah, with the institutional arrival, you've got a lot of posturing around the crypto space right now, from nation states like El Salvador and others, all the way to businesses like MicroStrategy. It's beyond putting it just on the balance sheet at this point. And there's an ancillary market building around it. Those that called it a fraud a few years ago now have crypto divisions inside their banks.
And what are some of the challenges with the mass adoption that we're seeing, particularly on the consumer side, as we get used to these new forms of payment?
The education of the average consumer is critical. So kind of like with credit cards when we were kids, internet and email, there's a learning curve. And we need to make sure that we take the time to really drive that for both merchants and retail buyers of how to securely buy, store, and keep safe their digital assets that they may be buying, investing, or using.
And tell us about Bitcoin IRA and some of the trends that you're seeing with your investors.
Well, obviously 2021 was a banner year. Probably the biggest year in crypto so to date, with the number of buyers and interested parties out there involved. We're a platform that you can download online through the Apple or the iOS store and easily open, fund, and trade a digital currency IRA. We have 60 plus digital assets. And that's what it's designed for, is for folks thinking with tax advantage savings of Roth or traditional IRAs, hey, why not try some crypto for a long-term investment play?
And Chris, are those types of assets treated the same as other traditional assets in a regular IRA?
Well, no, because they're 24/7. They never stop, right? They never take holidays, birthdays, etc. So it does take a different type of platform to keep them safe, different than a stock certificate, and also make them accessible 24/7 in the palm of your hand so that you can make changes in this volatile market.
So investors can trade directly through Bitcoin IRA?
Yeah, absolutely. Right in the palm of their hands.
And what do your demographics look like?
Well, it's interesting. It's not a young investor's game, as you would think, and we did when we first started this in 2016. 75% of our clients were born before 1976. So there's a lot of older Americans looking at this as a potential hedge against maybe inflation. They also have speculative interest with the gains that it's had year over year, outperforming everything. So it's a mixed bag out there.
Just made the cutoff. Happy to hear that. Don't hear that often when thinking about the younger investor base. But I do find that really interesting. I would have initially thought it would have been the other way around too. And I guess when you think about it from an IRA perspective, it's just a matter of building up wealth at a certain point. It's a little bit different in your 20s. Most of us, or most of them, do not, have that wealth accumulation. So with that said, the volatility that we've seen in the crypto market, has that impacted your business at all?
Volatility is a critical component of something that's this young. So if we want to talk about how young we are, crypto is only 12. So it's an adolescent. I've got an 8-year-old daughter. I've seen teenage daughters. I don't have one yet, but I'm almost there. And this is part of the growth factor. There is some volatility to it. When in doubt, zoom out. When you look at the 1, 3, 5-year charts of crypto, it shows what it's doing as a finite money compared to infinite money in the world today.
I have 3 teenagers right now. It only gets more fun, but I guess you almost treat it as you would any other IRA. I think I look at mine, I don't know, maybe once when I get my statements in or out, but I very rarely pay attention to it. So it almost sounds like you treat it as you would any other IRA.
Yeah, a lot of folks, especially the early adopters, these were NASA scientists, IBM engineers, all from the FANG. They were looking at this in a long-term play. So they probably log in more than once a year because it is crypto, but they're not, you don't see so much day trading happening.
Interesting. All right, Chris, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you for having me.